Have you ever felt like everything you believed in, everything you worked for, was just a lie? Well, that's exactly what happened to me. Today, I'm going to share a story that shocked me to my core, how I found out my wife was cheating on me, and how it led me to make the hardest decision of my life. It all started a few years ago. I thought I had the perfect life. I had a beautiful wife, a nice home, a steady job. It seemed like we were living the dream. But behind the scenes, something was terribly wrong, and I had no idea. One night, something strange happened. My wife was acting a little off. She was more distant than usual, and there was something in her eyes I couldn't quite place, something cold, almost secretive. I tried to brush it off, thinking maybe she was just stressed. But deep down, I knew I had to figure out what was going on. Then, one day, I came across something I never expected. While she was in the shower, I decided to take a look at her phone. I know, I shouldn't have done that, but something inside me just told me I needed to know the truth. What I found was beyond anything I could imagine. Texts. Pictures. They were all there, evidence of her affair with another man. And it wasn't just physical, it was emotional. She was planning a future with him, and I was completely out of the picture. The betrayal was right there in black and white. I was numb. I couldn't process it. I had always trusted her, believed she was the love of my life. But here I was, staring at the proof of her deceit. It was clear she didn't care about me anymore. And as painful as it was, I realized I had to take action. When she came home that evening, I couldn't hold it in any longer. I confronted her. I showed her the texts, the proof, everything. She was speechless at first, but then, she tried to play it off. She denied it, said it was all just a misunderstanding. I wasn't buying it. I told her I knew everything, and there was no going back. She begged me for forgiveness, promised she'd end things with him, but I knew the trust was gone. It was shattered. And I couldn't go on living a lie. I told her to pack her bags. She had to leave. I couldn't keep her in my life after what she had done. The woman I loved had turned into a stranger. It was heartbreaking, but it was also the only thing I could do. That night, I was alone for the first time in years. I felt a mixture of relief and sorrow. The pain didn't disappear immediately, but I knew I had done what was right. I took control of my life again. It wasn't easy, but over time, I healed. I learned that sometimes, you have to let go of toxic people, even if they're the ones you thought you'd spend forever with. And I became stronger, more determined to never let myself be deceived again. So, what's the takeaway from all this? Don't let anyone make you feel small. Trust your instincts, and don't be afraid to walk away from betrayal. You deserve better. After kicking my wife out, the silence in our home was deafening. I never imagined my life would come to this. A home that once felt warm and full of love now felt empty and cold. I kept replaying everything in my head, asking myself where it all went wrong. Looking at the photos, I couldn't help but wonder, how could she do this to me? We shared so many memories, so many plans. And I had always been there for her. Yet, she betrayed me in the worst possible way. I knew I had to find answers. I couldn't just let it go. I began digging deeper into everything. I wanted to understand why, how, and what was going on behind my back. I found out that she had been seeing this guy for months, even longer than I originally thought. But what truly hit me was the revelation of her plans for the future. She wasn't just having an affair, she was planning on leaving me for him. She had even started talking about selling the house. My home, our home, was supposed to be our future, but to her, it was just another thing she was willing to give up. I reached out to a few friends, trying to make sense of it all. Some supported me, others didn't quite know what to say. But in the end, I realized that no one could understand what I was going through, not fully. This was my battle to fight, and I had to do it alone. One of the first things I did was change the locks. It wasn't just about physical security, but emotional security too. I needed to protect myself, to make sure she couldn't just walk back in whenever she felt like it. That's when I knew I had to start fresh. I wasn't going to let her, or this betrayal, define me. I moved on with my life, piece by piece, but I couldn't shake the feeling of being betrayed. I had to focus on my own healing, which meant cutting her off completely. Over the next few months, I threw myself into rebuilding myself. I worked out more, picked up old hobbies I'd neglected, and spent more time with friends and family. It wasn't easy, but little by little, I started feeling like myself again. And then, something unexpected happened. I met someone new. Someone who reminded me that there's still love and kindness out there. Someone who showed me that there was more to life than betrayal and heartbreak. Eventually, I realized that I had gained something from this painful experience. I learned about my own strength, my resilience, and my ability to move forward, no matter how bad things got. The betrayal may have broken me in the beginning, but in the end, it made me stronger. I wasn't just a victim in this story, I was a survivor. And now, I'm building a life that's better than anything I ever had before. It's strange looking back now. When I first discovered my wife's betrayal, I thought my life was over. But here I am, stronger, more self-assured, and moving on to a new chapter. It wasn't an easy road, but every setback came with its lessons. One of the most important things I realized was the power of support. Friends and family, they're more than just a safety net, they're the people who remind you of who you really are. They were there for me on the days when I felt like giving up, reminding me that this storm would eventually pass. Rediscovering myself was also a big part of my healing. I started focusing on things I'd forgotten about, old passions, new interests, anything that made me feel alive. In a strange way, her betrayal pushed me to reconnect with parts of myself that I'd lost while trying to keep our marriage together. One thing I'm not ashamed of admitting is that I got help. I started going to therapy. Working through all the emotions, the anger, the sadness, the self-doubt, was tough, but it helped me find closure. Therapy gave me a safe space to process everything and, eventually, to forgive. Not for her sake, but for my own. There came a day when I knew I had to let go of the past for good. I gathered all the memories, the photos, the mementos from our relationship, and put them away. I knew it was time to let go of the anger, to move on without any lingering attachments. As time passed, I found myself opening up to new people and new possibilities. I wasn't rushing into anything, but it felt good to know that I could be happy on my own, and that the right people would come into my life when I was ready. Looking back, I don't regret a single decision. I didn't deserve what happened to me, but I used that pain to build a better version of myself. I grew stronger, more self-reliant, and more resilient. In a way, the end of that relationship was the beginning of a much more fulfilling journey. And soon enough, things really started falling into place. My career picked up, I achieved goals that I'd set aside, and I felt more fulfilled than ever. Every painful step led me to where I am now, a place of true happiness and freedom. If there's one thing I'd want others to take from my story, it's this: don't let anyone's betrayal define your worth. You're stronger than you know, and even in the darkest moments, you have the power to rebuild. Life has so much more in store for you if you're willing to let go of the past and embrace the future. So to anyone out there dealing with betrayal or heartbreak, remember, this isn't the end. It's just the beginning of a new chapter. Keep moving forward, because the best days of your life are still waiting. It's amazing how much can change in a year. The person I was back then, hurt, betrayed, lost, is just a memory now. Looking back, I hardly recognize him. Today, I'm stronger, wiser, and finally free from the shadows of that painful chapter. One of the most powerful lessons I learned through this journey was that life's setbacks don't define us, our response to them does. This experience, as painful as it was, taught me to truly value myself. It forced me to set boundaries, to protect my peace, and to prioritize my own happiness. People who knew me before have noticed the change. They say I look happier, lighter, like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. And it's true. Freeing myself from that toxic relationship allowed me to become the person I was always meant to be. Sharing my story wasn't easy. But the support I received from all of you, the encouragement, the understanding, reminded me that I wasn't alone. Your words and your own stories helped me feel understood in ways I never imagined. And in sharing, I felt even more empowered to keep moving forward. If I could go back and speak to that heartbroken version of myself, I'd tell him not to worry, that one day, everything would make sense. That all the heartache would be worth it. I'd tell him to keep believing that something better was on the horizon. Now, I'm focused on new dreams. I've started working on projects I'd once only dreamed of, building a life that's entirely my own. There's a unique kind of satisfaction in knowing that I didn't just survive this experience, I transformed because of it. Along the way, I realized that life is too short to spend on people who don't value you. I'm grateful for the friends who stood by me and for the new connections I've made. These are the people who truly bring joy and meaning to my life. This journey taught me that there's always a second chance waiting for us. A chance to rebuild, to rewrite our own story, and to choose happiness over pain. And that's exactly what I'm doing, choosing to move forward, leaving the past behind. So to everyone listening, thank you for being part of my story. I hope my journey serves as a reminder that no matter what we go through, we have the power to rebuild. There's a whole world of possibility beyond the pain, waiting for you to claim it. Don't be afraid to let go and embrace what's next. As time passed, I came to understand one final truth: healing isn't just about moving on from the past, it's about building a future you truly believe in. I didn't just want to survive this chapter, I wanted to thrive beyond it. Part of that journey was reclaiming my space. I redecorated, rearranged, and filled my home with things that represented me. It was symbolic. This was no longer the place where betrayal happened, it was the place where I rebuilt myself. Reconnecting with friends and discovering new hobbies brought back a piece of myself I hadn't seen in years. For so long, I had been consumed by the relationship, trying to hold it together. Now, I had the freedom to explore life on my own terms. And then, just when I thought I'd closed the door, she reached out. My ex-wife sent a message, saying she wanted to meet and talk about everything. She wanted closure, an explanation, maybe even a chance to apologize. At first, I wasn't sure how to respond. A part of me wondered if hearing her out would bring more peace or just reopen old wounds. But after some thought, I realized something powerful: I didn't need her apology to move forward. I had already made peace with everything. So, I replied. I told her that I had forgiven her, not for her sake, but for mine. I thanked her for the lessons, for the strength I found, and for the courage to build a new life. I wished her well and left it at that. No meeting, no second guessing, just simple closure. Letting go of the anger was the final step in my healing journey. With that message, I was finally free. Free from resentment, free from bitterness, free from everything that had weighed me down. Life opened up in ways I couldn't have imagined. I started meeting people who inspired me, who reminded me that kindness and trust still exist. It was in these moments that I truly felt alive, like I was stepping into a whole new chapter of life. I wanted to share my story, not for sympathy, but to connect. So many people reached out, shared their own experiences, and reminded me that we're all on our own journeys. That connection was powerful. It gave purpose to everything I went through. Every day, I'm grateful for how far I've come. My life isn't defined by that painful chapter anymore, it's defined by the courage to rebuild, the strength to keep going, and the willingness to embrace something better. So to anyone out there struggling with betrayal, remember this: your story doesn't end here. Sometimes, the darkest moments are just the beginning of something beautiful. Keep moving forward, keep believing, and know that you're stronger than you think. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If my story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Remember, healing is possible, and the best chapters are yet to come.